All right, guys, what's going on? My name's Joey. I'm aka Chicago Joey. We were recording Pot Limit videos here for the past couple hours, but right now we got two-card Pot Limit Omaha, aka Nolan Hold'em, and we're watching a hand played by none other than the man right here, Phil Galfond, who's in the house. And Phil, we thought of this video after the fact. We were making PLOs. We decided to throw a Nolan Hold'em video in here, and this is a hand where you guys are playing. What's the stakes there? So you're starting off really deep, $300,000, high stakes poker. This wasn't your first appearance on, so you've kind of got more accustomed to playing live at this time in your life. You're obviously an online player, playing the highest stakes there. Not a ton of live poker, really, I think, up until this point. And now in this hand, you don't know the player ends, which is Bill Klein, who's a recreational player, businessman from California, I believe. Actually, might be from Illinois, but then moved to California. And yeah, do you want to kind of set the scene for people out there who might be checking this out and watching the hand?
Yeah, so this is the first time I played with Bill. I've played with him a lot since. Mm-hmm. And I was playing, I think it's 300 to 600.
Were they straddling a lot, remember, anything like that? Or were they not much?
I don't think there was a lot of straddling, but I don't recall entirely.
So we got some tire players at the table here.
And yeah, I was playing a lot of hands.
I believe it.
Because
there was a straddle on this hand because there was a straddle. There was a $1,600 straddle on this hand.
So maybe there was a lot of straddling. Maybe I guess it was 4-8. But anyways, yeah, I was playing a lot of hands, both because players were not 3-betting very much, folding a little too much, and then I felt very good about my post flop advantage. Bill, who ends up being the villain in the hand, is without knowing him.
What's kind of your read? So when you go into a situation, so you're playing with a gentleman, older gentleman who is not a professional poker player. You don't know who he is. You don't know anything about him. So how do you kind of default game plan approach a situation and a player like that?
So honestly, I've learned since this, not about Bill specifically, but generally with like an older guy, you're going to assume that they play tighter.
Yes.
Just more conservative in general. Like put a lot of money in with very strong hands, like maybe even like too much to protect their hand, things like that, and then just do a fair bit of folding. But what I've noticed since then is generally if you have an older guy playing a huge game and buying in for 500,000 or whatever this is, those guys they've usually earned that 500,000 and a lot more, and they don't do it by being necessarily conservative and careful.
So you think as the higher stakes you go, the more inclined the older players are to get out of line?
Yeah, I think
sense.
They're more like just they're risk takers generally more than the average like the older gentleman that will be playing 2-5.
But at this point, that wasn't your read. You're going in here. You're saying like, okay, this is not okay.
This is young, inexperienced Phil Galfond.
All right, well, let's take a look at this hand and let's get into it.
$2.1 million on the table, up for grabs.
Straddle.
Mr. K is in the house.
Klein straddles again.
10,000, huh? Phil Galfond?
Not sure why you even look at your cards.
Raised 3,500.
It looks bad. If he doesn't look in the raises,
that's
then...
the part. Yeah, that's the part that always gets me.
Yeah.
Why does he even bother looking?
Then you know that he doesn't know. This way
you think that
there's
a
that
possibility
maybe I'll
that he
look
actually
down
has
at
a hand.
a 7-4 and just fold it.
I don't think he looked at.
All right, so 400, $800, $600 straddles on. I noted Doyle when he folded. He had that disgusted look, like I can't believe I'm losing in this game. He was down 166,000, I think it said at the beginning. And so it folds over to Phil. Phil's in the cutoff. Queen 10 offsuit, beautiful hand in the cutoff. So the small blind, big blind straddle are three recreational poker players, not professional players. I'm assuming you're looking to raise. You got Antonio behind you, who I'd imagine is a little more on the aggressive side. I don't know if that's going to mean he's 3-bet or if that means he's more call heavy, wanting to also keep these guys in the hand as well too.
Good point, yeah.
But I imagine you're opening up fairly wider from the cutoff, and you went with the smaller size, 35 into $1,600 straddle. Was that on purpose? Did you not know straddle, or was that kind of your overall?
It was on purpose. A couple things. One, sticking with my read from before, if it's a guy that you expect to be a tighter player in the straddle, you can raise a ton of hands, and for a small sizing, and they're not really going to care about the sizing so much. They're just going to fold their unplayable hands, or their unplayable hands. And Antonio, I think, like normally in this spot, would do a lot of 3-betting, but like you said, I don't think he wants to isolate me so much, even though he knows I'm playing a generally wide range. I do think he'd do a lot of calling. I'm gonna probably be opening half my hands here.
50%. Yeah, that's it. Okay. And then we look down. We got Croak, who I think he's the silly band. Silly bands, yeah. So he has ace jack of clubs. Definitely could be three betting this hand. I don't know if he's a big three better kind of guy. I don't. He decides to call here.
I played with him a couple of times around this time, but not so much since. So I don't really remember. I think he was a pretty solid player.
Do you think he should be three betting ace jack clubs?
Against 50%, definitely.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
But by the same token, as Antonio, he doesn't necessarily. I talked to him a lot. He respects my game, and he doesn't want to.
Right. So you kind of have that. That's actually something I didn't think much about. You obviously at this point in time in life, I mean, still right now, I think people respect you a lot, and for the right reason. You had a ton of success at Nolan Hold'em and Potman Omaha and tournaments too. I think tournaments, right? Bracelet?
Yeah.
I think tournaments too. I think, and also people associate you with training, with coaching. They associate you with a great player who they're probably going to be a little bit scared of and to go after, and kind of the quiet guy, but very aggressive player. So I guess I can't fault him, especially if you had an interaction like that. He decides, I just want to keep the pot small. That actually makes a lot of sense.
Something that happens that I've noticed that works really well for people in tournaments, when somebody's really loose aggressive in tournaments, what you're supposed to do is play back against them because they're just opening a ton of hands. But what ends up happening is people are scared and they think, well, I don't like this guy might 4-bet me, and this guy might call the flop and then raise the turn when it's a bad turn, and so they actually end up adjusting the wrong way and playing too tight against the loose aggressive players. So yeah. Playing loose aggressive, especially in tournaments, I think it works really well, even still.
Yeah, I mean, very high variance as well too. When you play that kind of style. But yeah, as played, Croak decides to call. Klein, I think he's got a pretty easy complete with the 10-6 of spades. I mean, I'm not folding the hand if I'm in Hill spot. And yeah, we go three-way to the flop, and let's see what happens.
One card that time.
I can't tell. I've got Antonio's wall of money there, so I can't really see much.
Something for everybody. Croak has top pair, Klein has a flush draw, and Galfon the open-ended straight draw.
5,500.
Klein raises with his flush draw. Galfon calls. I doubt Croak will re-raise.
Call.
Could be some interesting turn cards here.
All right, flop comes down. Jack 9, deuce, 2 spades. Croak's got top pair, top kicker. Bill Klein's got the backdoor straight draw with the flush draw, 10 high. And Phil, beautiful hand, with the open-ended straight draw. And now Croak decides to do something unusual. He leads out for half pot, 5,500. And then our man Bill Klein decides to get a little frisky here and make a play you might not expect him to make with the 10-6 of spades. So he raises it up 17,500. We're $300,000 deep. It gets to you facing a lead and facing a raise. What's kind of going through your mind at this point?
So still, going back to my read, I think this guy's probably a tighter player. And tight players, play tight in general, but especially raising post-flop. Just have really strong hands. So what I'm thinking here is we're 300 some K deep, and I think he has top 2 or a set. And my implied odds are just so good that, this price is too good to pass up, and I think very easy call. And I definitely don't, for that reason, I don't want to re-raise because I just think he has.
You think he's definitely. What do you think about Croak's lead here? Croak leads that half pot. To me, half pot lead.
I would expect. So he has a little bit stronger of a hand than I expected.
Yeah.
I would expect like a weak top
Queen
pair.
Jack 10, something like that. Yeah, I think that's kind of like what it typically tends to be. I think when you see recreational players lead in this situation.
Yeah.
So
sometimes mid pair, but maybe not in a 3-way pot.
Let's talk about your implied odds for a second. So implied odds, obviously, I don't think if he's got top 2. So if he has a set, I think that our implied odds are great on an 8 or a king here. But if he has Jack 9 and the board comes a king, especially, or a king, any king or a king of spades, or an 8 or an 8 of spades, you start thinking maybe the implied odds aren't necessarily as good, because when you do call here, I guess maybe your hand might look like aces or kings as well too.
It can also look like spades.
Right.
So on the king of spades, 8 of spades are bad cards, but I don't think this was very far into the session, but still I was playing a ton of hands. And I don't expect that he knows who I am, but still I'm the young kid playing a lot of hands.
Right.
And so I think that he would have a tough time folding, or it would definitely put
maybe
me on a
fold
bluff.
one street, probably maybe folds the river, but
maybe not even. I find that You know, especially when I was younger, and like
Not your old. Yeah, what's it like looking at you with the glasses on? Look at you, man. I mean, you're looking looking
just a little kid.
I know, a little whippersnapper
Yeah.
right here, just playing the 501k games and.
But especially like the old school players, just think the internet players are crazy. And when we were looking through hands today,
To be fair,
Yeah.
you are insane. We were looking over hands to record today, and we found hands where Phil check raised like a 10 deuce with a blocker. I think, what was the other one you had? He 3-bet king 5 and then called a 4-bet. I mean, I don't know. He's crazy. He didn't get invited back for being a tight player. It's insane. I've never heard anything like this in my life. He's
Yeah,
not-
no, I was very surprised. I didn't remember just
You're
how wild
You're
I
the
was.
most I mean, you're not tight at all. I don't understand. They've not seen. I mean, maybe they. I don't know, man. I don't know where you get this reputation from, kid.
Yeah.
But okay, as played. So you go ahead, you call, and now you go back to Croak. Croak's got a really weird spot here. I think he's pretty deep as well. He's got the ace jack.
Yeah.
What are you hoping for here? You know, what are we thinking with ace jack here?
So it's going to be really tough for him to win the pot, and there's a very good chance he's beat right now. But he does have a really good price. I think probably he still needs to fold because I think he should expect that if he does have the best hand, we're not going to check it down.
Yeah, he's very okay.
So
he's not going to show down easy.
Yeah, he's not going to show down easy in this spot. And I think, like I said, like when you're the young kid playing a lot of hands, they actually think you're going to be more bluffy and more aggressive than you even are. So yeah, I think he should expect and probably does expect not to get to showdown easily. And for that reason, with a hand that, you know, with the exception of turning a jack or an ace that's non-spade, he's going to have to get away from pretty often. I think probably he's just going to save money by folding now. Even though, as we can see, he has the best hand.
Well, not by much. But he goes ahead, he makes the call, and let's see what happens here on this turn.
One more. Okay, two
Two
more.
more
Right?
thousand make you lucky.
Good luck.
You have to look at the flop first, or the turn.
There is an interesting turn card, and it's for Phil Galfond. He makes the nut straight. Klein continues betting his flush draw. Galfond is grabbing some serious ammo. $67,000.
67,000.
That sends Croak a message.
Guess I have to fold.
Klein doesn't know that if he hits his straight, he'll only chop the pot. Robert Croak doesn't care who wins this pot. Klein calls.
All right, turn comes down. King of clubs, bingo. Phil's got the nuts straight. He's got the nuts. He's probably in heaven right now. He's thinking, baby, give me some money right now.
300K, yeah.
300K. What can I buy with 300K? He's thinking about buying a new slide at his place in New York or something. I don't know what you're thinking about that time. But so King of clubs, Croak. You know, Croak's in a bad spot now. He checks. Klein decides to continue betting. He bets. It was about $20-some thousand here in a pot about
28.
Yeah, 28. A very small bet, and then Phil makes a very small raise to $67,000, $39,000 more for Klein to call. Klein has the flush draw. He's got the straight draw as well too with that 10. And what are you kind of making of his bet here? So he raises flop, bets the turn. Are you still kind of putting him on that initial read of a set?
Yeah.
Of a Jack 9 type of hand like
and
that?
now I'm even a little more confident that it would be a set than
Yeah.
more than because he might check some of his Jack 9. I still think he can have all of them. And so, yeah, I think it's very likely that that's what he has. Jack 9 or a set, any of the sets, maybe not Jacks because he might 3-bet pre. But yeah, I'm not in love with my sizing here.
Thinking bigger to kind of set
I
up
think you need to
a
go
bigger river size.
Yeah, and because not only against the set do I need some protection, but I don't want the river to be a queen of spades and then just lose my action.
Yeah, queen of spades technically.
A 10 of spades.
10 of spades.
And then lose my action.
Okay.
So yeah, I think I should go bigger here for sure. Like you said, his bet was kind of an under bet. And so raising, to be honest, and I've gotten better at this since I played more live, but when you're only playing online, counting the pot and like counting raise sizes does not come as naturally as you might think. And so I'm probably what happened here is because you have to think about a lot of things. If the only thing I was thinking about is counting the pot, I would get it exactly right. But if I'm thinking about everything else, I'm trying to look at people, I'm trying to conceal my tells, and I'm uncomfortable live. You just use so much mental energy doing so many things.
For sure, yeah.
And if you're not in the habit of doing those things, you actually would be surprised. Well, I think I remember back then, like just like not having a lot of processing power.
Well, I wonder if maybe in this situation you thought, because we go back to the aggressive. So you have an aggressive style, you have an aggressive image. I wonder if you thought you'd like to make it smaller here, because in the future, against these kind of at the table, you'd like to make it some smaller sizes in different situations. So maybe you kind of approached it from that standpoint where I just want to keep that in my game plan, where if I make it a bigger size here and then I make it a smaller size in the future, in a board where it might be a good size, maybe they pick up on something like that. Do you think anything like that was going through the mind at all?
It could have been. I don't remember entirely, but I've been kind of so confident. I remember being confident throughout this hand that he had a strong hand on the flop.
I think he has a set too.
Yeah.
I see what he has. I think he's got a set.
And so I think that I can make it bigger and get a call from a set. Yeah.
And then set up a pretty big river bet too as well.
Do you remember how deep Croak was? Because I might have been thinking, I don't want to look to commit myself. So
okay. Yeah, so Croak's got about 191K to start the hand.
Croak, so like at this point he'll have whatever it is, like 160 something left. So maybe I didn't want to make it 90 and know that I'm committed against him and look super strong. Whereas here I could raise fold to Croak.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
But all that said, I still think I should go bigger and get the value from a set, because I don't think he can fold even.
I feel like this is kind of, I don't know. I feel like when you play live poker and you deep stack, like you make hands, you're looking to get value from those hands. When you actually do make hands, especially against a player you might consider the recreational player or the weaker player. And but maybe you got to worry about if you make it too big, then you think he's just going to fold out some hands like this. But you're always putting him on a set, so if you're always putting him on a value hand, I feel like it makes sense to want to go bigger against those players. That's how I've always approached playing against weaker players. Is I'm betting for value. I'm not trying to get tricky with these guys. I'm trying to extract the max value from these players, especially when I think they have a super strong hand.
Yeah, I maybe thought that I didn't want him to fold Jack 9, and this is a sizing that he.
Yeah, but that makes sense though, and that's if that's a hand you put him on too, and that if you make it bigger, he's gonna fold Jack 9.
Yeah, but no, I still would like to go a little bit bigger, and I honestly think I'm not ashamed to admit that I bet that I was not I was focusing on so many things. I hit this turn, I'm really excited. I'm playing on TV for the third time.
Yeah,
I'm nervous about that.
That's true.
I might just be like, okay, I can't think about the pot right now. I'm going to look at his bet. It's 28. It's kind of close to 25. So 3x would be 75. So I'll go a little smaller than that. And then just it ends up being a kind of too small of a sizing.
Well, let's see what happens.
Nearly a $200,000 pot now. A disappointing red card for Klein. Looks like Klein's creative juices may be flowing. They sure are. He bets $150,000.
Not the best river.
All right, so we just saw the river. It's the jack. So Klein calls the turn with his 10-6 of spades. I'm thinking in his mind, he's thinking, I have implied odds for my flush. Maybe if I hit my straight, I can chop it. And potentially, I can bluff a board pairing card. So what do you think about his call there? It is a small size. He is getting odds to draw to his flush there. So I mean, I don't think the call is.
I remember thinking in this pot that he would fold his draws at this point, but I wasn't. Again, that's more evidence of me not thinking of the math very well, because he got a huge price given the size of the pot.
Yeah, really huge price. Yeah,
I made a small raise, and so I do like his call, and I think and given all my reads, I really like his river bet, which I was not expecting him to make.
I'm still shocked he made it. So he bets 150 on the river. Obviously, this is a terrible card. And I kind of actually want to play out this part here, and something that you mentioned, something Antonio mentioned that we were commenting on earlier when we were going over this hand. So let's kind of see Phil's first reaction, because I'm still kind of surprised this hand happened. I still can't believe. Maybe the cards are wrong. I don't really know, but let's take a look here.
Maybe the worst river.
I don't want to say it out loud. It's what I was thinking.
Klein's trying to represent a full
I
house.
think I was okay. Yeah, I was fine with the spade. 150? How much time left? What else could you have called with?
All right, so you go in the tank a little bit here. You say that's the worst possible card. Antonio says, that's what I was thinking. And I actually want to talk about this Antonio comment before we get to Irv. So you found that a little weird in retrospect, right? Because that seems like a strange comment to make in real time,
especially
right?
for Antonio, who's really seasoned. I'm curious now if he has a history playing with Bill and actually thinks he's bluffing. And
he's trying to get you.
He's trying to get the.
That's sick. Antonio's sick, man.
Yeah.
He's a live pro expert, man.
So that's why I think it's pretty likely that he had that read.
So you think he's had more experience?
Not very,
maybe.
Not very likely, but he's very capable of getting a read like that, especially if he's played with him before.
Yeah.
To be honest, I mean, I went into the tank a little bit, but I was never considering calling. I just I don't like to make snap decisions, especially televised, where I guess actually now I don't care. But back then, I didn't want to make a fast decision for two reasons. One, to like show how easily bluffable I am, but second, that I really thought he had it and I didn't want to make him feel bad. That I just like snap fold in his face. But it turns out he didn't have it.
Yeah. I mean, I think what might happen sometimes is players they sometimes overestimate how many bluffs their opponent can have. So they sometimes have queen 10 or they're like, well, he could have this without having a strong reason for thinking this player might have that. They overestimate the opponent's tendencies to make a big bluff against them until they know for sure. I've made a lot of bad calls where I'm like, I call and guys are nuts. I'm like, well, why did I call there? It's because I saw someone else maybe make a bluff there, but that's not that player. So you can't use this reasoning that you saw against these other players in like a big spot like this. I feel like it's kind of suicide. I know I've made this call a little bit too often against players who I'm like, they could be bluffing and I just have the nuts.
Yeah, so. I mean, if we want to get into like, deeper strategy, I have the queen of spades, which makes it a better fold. You could have queen 8 of spades or like queen 9 of spades for me to fold. But realistically, in this spot, like this is a hand that gets played a lot, or I've seen on YouTube a few times because, it's a huge pot. It's a big fold that I made. And there are a lot of hands that I played on TV that I'm embarrassed about, but this one was never one because I just like,
this one's fine.
I was so confident, like I would have folded 100 times out of 100 with the information I had then. And
I think I'd still fold now. I mean, I don't know. Even if I know he's capable of bluffing me here, I think I'm still just going to fold here and let him kind of take like sometimes you got to fold.
Yeah, and I mean, So no regrets. Props to Bill. This is obviously a really good bluff, and he was basically getting me to fold 100% of the time almost. Maybe king. He's not getting me to fold, but if he's not running into king, he's getting this through.
I wonder if there's anything to read into his sizing. So he bet 150,000, which is like a massive bet and something we don't often see. I think amateur players make this 75% sort of. This is like a huge bet. I feel like most players tend to bet smaller, trying to get a crying call from a straight because they understand that they're going to look like they have a super strong hand here. So,
yeah, to be honest, I expect, given my image, actually, that like a lot of players just check to me when they have a very strong hand because they think I'm going to bluff. So that might have been the only thing I was considering here. But yeah, people, that sizing does kind of look stronger. But like I said at the top of this video, one like thing that I would stereotype like older players that I assume to be more tight is they like bet big with big hands, and, like, put a lot of money in with big hands.
Yeah.
So it didn't seem inconsistent to me. I think I had like 200K, so yeah, it was a weird spot where I had just over a pot and maybe he could have shoved, but that would look stronger. I don't know. But yeah, I folded. Really, I'm happy with the way I played the hand besides sizing, and he played the hand really well.
Well, let's kind of run this out where Bill gets to show this nice bluff.
Yeah. Sometimes you just get outplayed.
That's true.
Galfon falls for it.
That's him.
If you were bluffing, which
It's really.
holy,
That's Bill.
Really
You are sick.
Whoa, you're sick.
All right,
You
man.
one more.
Antonio, before even you were halfway through it, if you were bluffing, this would be a good time to show. Bill knew that. Bill knew the ropes. He was like, all right, this is a nice time to show.
All right,
150 with 10 high.
But there was a 9 out there. There was a 9.
Yep. The 9
That's
was out
the
there.
only reason it made me do it.
Holy
He knows.
That's going to be on News, Views, and Gossips with people saying Galfon made a good fold, but they didn't know how sick Bill was. And then with the sickness meter, maybe it was a call, you know?
That was poetic.
Oh, I had ace jack with the ace of spades.
Oh, very nice hand.
Bill Klein gets a standing ovation from the pros, including Phil Galfon.
I just love watching that back. You get Phil Lock, classic Phil Lock. You get everyone fist bumping, high fiving Bill Klein. I mean, it's a great hand. What a great moment. It's a great TV moment, man.
It is, yeah.
I enjoyed it. But yeah,
Happy to be a part of it.
I'm happy you're a part of it too. Guys in the chat, let us know what you think. Would you have made that call? We know we got a lot of winners out there still. A lot of Texas Hold'em winners out there still. But yeah, let us know what you think. Let us know what you think about the hand. I'm ready to go play some 2-card Pop Omaha right now.
I'm not.
I'm actually kidding. I'm not ready to go play. I'm definitely kidding. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Much love. Peace out. Adios. Take care.